Hi lovelies, so welcome back to my channel, welcome to another video. It is the 31st of March, so it's the end of the month, and I thought it might be nice to do like a kind of reading wrap up video for the month. Talk to you about the books I read this month and yeah, just kind of go through that. I feel like my channel is very much about romanticizing my life, but also about, well, in saying that, it's also about my hobbies, and one of like probably the main hobby that I have and I enjoy the most is reading. So yeah, I kind of wanted to share my reading with you, and yeah, and since I have a bookstagram as well, which you should please check out, I'll put a little link here, or a little thing here to check it out. I would really love for you to follow me on my bookstagram account. I post like reels, and I do little book reviews, and I go to book events and things, so if you're really interested in that, please follow me. We'll talk about my books that I read this month. So I'm just going to go through the books that I read. I'll tell you a bit about them. I will try not to give too many spoilers away. There may be minor spoilers here and there, but for the most part, I'm not going to give any major plot lines or plot twists or anything away. If I, in the future, I don't know, maybe I'll do like videos on certain books where I will go through the book in detail. That'll be where I will like talk about certain things in the plot in more detail with you guys. But I think for now, just to give you a little rundown of the book, what I rated it, what I thought about it, and yeah. So this month, I feel like it was like I read quite a lot this month, especially at the beginning of the month, and towards the end of the month it kind of slowed down because I felt like I was in a bit of a slump, and I just started reading many things without actually finishing anything. But overall, I'm really happy. Like I've been reading, and I think I'm getting back into it like now. So yeah, so we'll start with the very first book that I read this month, and that was Beautiful Venom by Rena Kent. So I'm getting into dark romance a lot more, and I have read one other Rena Kent series, and that is the Monster Trilogy by Rena Kent, which is a dark mafia military romance, and I loved it. I loved it so much. Yeah, so I feel like she's probably a good author for me to continue with in my dark romance journey. And I had a book club this month, which was for this book. And this is actually a dark hockey romance. So basically, like, I saw the cover and I had the name Beautiful Venom. I thought it was like a dark fantasy, like a dark romantasy, but it's not. It's literally a dark hockey romance. I will say, if you're looking for like a hockey romance, this is not the book for you. And I say that because the hockey aspect is very minimal. The guys in the book, they play hockey. That's the only thing. Hockey isn't a real player in the book. No pun intended. Yeah, for me, like, a hockey romance is when, if there's no hockey in the book, if you take away the hockey aspect, you don't have the story anymore. I think hockey needs to have like a major kind of impact on the story. And I just feel like these guys could be doing anything. They could be like in a little club, like, I don't know, they didn't need to be playing hockey. And I feel like they don't really do that much anyway. So yeah, that's my little opinion on that. But it was very interesting. So this book is about Kane and Dahlia. Dahlia, she's I guess, an orphan, went through foster care and stuff, and she made a friend in foster care called Violet, who she considers her sister, and we find out that Violet's in the hospital in like a coma because of an attack that happened, and Dahlia doesn't really know what's happened to her. Dahlia ends up reading Violet's diaries and finds out some clues about what could have happened to her. All the clues lead to the Vipers, which are this hockey team, which is the hockey team for this university, Greystone Universities. They're it's an elite university, and the players in this team are tied to like a secret underground society called Venkor. So a lot of the players, like families, are part of this secret society, and so of course these players are. And so Dahlia is like, somebody from this team knows something. They've possibly, like, somebody from this team was the one to put Violet in a coma. So Dahlia is a pre-med student. She gets into this university. She thinks she just somehow gets into this university on like a scholarship or whatever. But we find out later like what's actually happened. Anyway, her goal is to infiltrate the Vipers and therefore infiltrate Venkor to find out what happened to her sister, Violet, and to also get revenge. I thought that was a really cool plot line, really cool storyline, and I was really excited when I first read this. So I was like, oh my god, a revenge tale. I love this already. Like enemies to lovers, like full-on revenge. And it kind of reminded me of the Monster Trilogy, also by Rena Kent, which is also about revenge. But I feel like Dahlia keeps trying to infiltrate the Vipers, but she doesn't really get anywhere. I guess she thinks she's infiltrating them, but really they're the ones pulling the strings. And they kind of annoyed me that Dahlia didn't realize this, because it's like these guys are all powerful. They own everything. They control everything. And yet you think you're infiltrating them. You're not even being like subtle about it. Like, I don't know. That kind of annoyed me a little bit, I must admit. But I did like the whole concept of it. Dahlia gets close to Kane. So Kane Davenport is our MMC. He's kind of like, he's kind of cold, bit cool. He's like kind of the quietest one out of the guys that are part of this hockey team. So he's in this little trio. So there's Kane, obviously. He's kind of like, I think he's the captain of the hockey team, if I'm not wrong. Then there's Preston, who's this unhinged kind of guy. He's got real psychotic issues. And there's Jude, who's like the most physically, he's the most physical in terms of like, he just beats people up and whatever, like just very casually. They're all kind of strange. They thrive on violence and that kind of thing. So also, this is a dark romance, so these kind of things just happen. So yes, I really enjoyed this book. I won't go into like more plot details. I really liked it. I liked the writing. I liked, I don't know if I liked the characters. Dahlia kind of annoyed me. And Kane was a bit boring, and I found him to be less interesting than his friends. So I found Preston and Jude much more interesting as characters, and I can't wait to read their books. So this is this is called the Vipers series, and this is the first book of the series. There are, I think, 2 more, one for each of the friends. So the next book is Jude's book, and the 3rd book is Preston's book. So yeah, I gave this 4.25 stars. It's really enjoyable, and I think it's all leading up to more things. I feel like I didn't get to know a lot about the society. There's also, in this book, there's also like a thing with Cain's father. So Cain is kind of like abused by his father. Like his father like really doesn't have any emotional connection to him and just wants him to kind of be part of this secret society and, you know, do all this stuff and be the perfect son. And yeah, there was that aspect. And I do enjoy when the characters have a traumatic kind of background, which is, it's not nice to say, but I think it just adds to my emotional attachment to the story, emotional connection. And I felt like I really enjoyed that. I just wish it went into more detail on some things, and I just think that storyline kind of ended quickly. So yeah, that was my thought on this series. I don't know if I would recommend this if you're new to dark romance, just because there's, you know, things like primal play and dubcon, which is dubious consent, which is like, you know, it's usually the female main character when she's saying no to the guy, but doesn't really mean no, really, but he still continues. Yeah, so if you're not into that stuff, this has quite a bit of that. It's very smutty. The smut scenes are pretty good. I really enjoyed them. It's quite spicy, and again, it's more of a dark romance level kind of spice. I've read more intense as well than this, but this is still like, yeah, if you're new to dark romance, probably wouldn't recommend going in with this one. But I did enjoy this. I'm much more excited for the next books of the series though, so I cannot wait to read them, and I will. Okay, so the next book that I read in March, The Throne of Glass. I'm ashamed to admit that I haven't read this series. I have read ACOTAR, of course, and I've also read the Crescent City series, and I loved both. But I am now only getting into Throne of Glass, so yes. I really enjoyed this. I do think like, it's the first book of a series, so I wasn't like expecting, you know, big things to be happening, but I felt like it was a good introduction to the world and to the magic, well, lack of magic, and kind of what magic was in this world, if that makes sense. If you've read this, you really know what I mean. I loved the characters. I loved Selena. I thought she was like a really like badass character, an assassin. And I enjoyed her banter, especially with Prince Dorian. Even with Kael as well, but especially with Prince Dorian, I love the way she can just keep up with them. She's really feisty, and yeah, and I think I really love that in an FMC. I feel like I've read too many FMCs recently where they're just more like, I don't know how to put this, like weak, or like maybe more meek, less strong. And yeah, they kind of have a character growth throughout the books or the series or whatever, which is great. But I just love that from the beginning, Selena's this like amazing badass character, and yeah, and I feel like the plot is gonna, you know, revolve around different aspects of her growth, if that makes sense, instead of just becoming like more strong or, you know, whatever. So yes, I enjoyed this. I think I also gave this 4.25. Like I said, it wasn't like groundbreaking. It's like reading the first ACOTAR. Like that's fine. It was cute. It was fine. But then you read the other books and you're like, oh my god, yeah, that was not a 5-star read. Yeah, so I feel like that's what's gonna happen in this series. Like it's gonna get better as it goes along. I am in the middle of Crown of Midnight, which is the second book. My camera's battery died, so I don't know where I left off, but I remember I was talking about Throne of Glass. So anyway, if you like fantasy, I would recommend getting into this series. Of course, if you've read like ACOTAR or Crescent City or both, it's a good idea to read these, especially since we know now that we have some more ACOTAR books coming out this year, and I think they're kind of all related. I know ACOTAR and Crescent City are related as well. There is a crossover in the third Crescent City book. So if you read ACOTAR and haven't read Crescent City, you should get onto Crescent City before the new books come out. And also somebody told me that at the end of this book, there's like a reference to something in ACOTAR or something in that kind of world. I don't know why I didn't pick up on it, but I'm gonna go back and have a look, I think. So yes, I'm enjoying the series. Like I said, I'm in the middle of Crown of Midnight, which is the second book of the series. I think I was explaining the order in which I read them. So some people say to read Assassin's Blade first because it is technically first. And I did hear that Sarah J. Maas, the author, she actually wrote that first. So a lot of people seem to find sense in reading that first. And I know a lot of people have, and they said it didn't really make any difference reading it first. It kind of gave them more of a backstory. And then a lot of people say to read Assassin's Blade after the second or third, and I've just decided to read it after the second. And I think it's because I want to get into like the main story, and then I'll go back to the prequel. I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but that's the way I'm going to do it. Let me know in the comments how you read it or how you recommend to read it. Not that I can really do anything about it now since I've already read this and I'm in the middle of the second book, but just, you know, just to know, it would be nice just to see some opinions on it. And I'll let you, I guess I'll let you know what I think after I read Assassin's Blade. So yeah, I'm in the middle of Crown of Midnight, and I'm enjoying it, but I'm not in that kind of like, that feeling that you have when you read a book and you just can't stop reading it. I'm not there yet. Like, I'm like, this is enjoyable, but it's not, I don't keep picking it up. I put it down a lot. It's not something that I would binge, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I haven't finished that, but I'm hoping to this week so that I can get into Assassin's Blade. So yeah, that was the second book that I read this month. The next book that I read, or actually I did the audiobook of, was How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates by Shaylee Thompson. I had 2 book clubs for this. So 2 of my book clubs that I go to, they both picked the same book, which was kind of good, because then I could just, you know, just read one book for both. So I did the audio because I couldn't find this book anywhere. It was sold out everywhere. Shaylee Thompson is actually an Australian author, and this book is going, like, it's popular. It's so popular, even overseas, which is sometimes not the case for Australian books. So I'm so happy about that. But yeah, the actual book itself, it's set in America, and I think it was done so it could be a bit more marketable in other countries. And I think it worked for the most part. I enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. This is a slasher rom-com, which is different, and I really loved it. It was really funny. It had a lot of movie references, especially like thriller movies, like horror movies, which was cool. There was just a lot of them. I don't think I got every single reference because I'm not like a super horror movie buff. So yeah, so it's basically about a girl named Jamie, and her and her best friend decide to go speed dating one night. And during this speed date, something happens. Somebody is killed, and they're kind of all locked down in this building where this speed date was happening. It was happening in like a club kind of thing, club bar situation, and people keep getting killed, and they want to find out who the killer is. And yeah, so it was really interesting. I kind of picked the killer, but also not. I won't say any more than than that. So yeah, I kept going back and forth between characters. It was kind of fun trying to guess who it was. And the banter is great between the characters. I'm not going to tell you the romantic interest because I chopped and changed between a couple of people. So I'll let you read it and figure it out for yourselves. But honestly, if you want something a little bit different that's got the romance, but it's also got this like kind of comedic horror vibe, you will love this. And I do recommend the audiobook. I recommend it because it is like a duet. So the whole book is in Jamie's point of view. So it's all in the female main character's point of view. The male voices are done by a male voice actor. So the male characters are voiced by a male actor, which is great. And there's also these sound effects, which adds to like the whole feel of it, like the knife squelching. I know it sounds kind of gross, but trust me, it adds to the whole experience of listening to it. So yeah, I do recommend the audiobook. The cover of the book is really beautiful though, so I would love to own it, but you know, I feel like that ship has sailed right now for me. So, but the audiobook, so good. Highly recommend. It's a fun read, it's an easy read. It like keeps you going. So yeah. The next book I read was for a book club again. I don't know why I did so many book clubs. Actually, I think How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates was a February book club for me. I'm just remembering, but I didn't finish it in time, I think. I think that's why it's still on my March list. But anyway. Next book that I read was Diabound, which was for another book club that I went to, which I actually went to this last weekend. So I actually borrowed this from the library. It is a big one, but I finished this so quickly. I flew through this. This was so good, so surprisingly good. Yes, so this is a romantasy, and it's about Meryn Cooper. She's the main character. It's all in her point of view, and basically she kind of lives in poverty with her mother and her sister. Her mom is not really like all there. She has like, she sees things and has hallucinations and stuff, but has these moments of like where she's perfectly normal. In her town that she lives in, her village that she lives in, kids are getting like kidnapped and taken by these people called the Nabbers. And these people, or creatures, they siphon energy from people, and the energy from children is stronger and gives them more power. So they have been kidnapping kids to siphon their energy and keep them alive and give them strength and power. Anyway, Meryn's sister ends up being kidnapped, and Meryn believes the only way she can find her sister is so if she enlists in the army, because you get to go to the front, the war front if you're in the army, and that's where she believes her sister has been taken. There is a little complication when she enlists in the army. It's the time of the bonding. So when you enlist in the army, if you enlist at a particular time of the year where they do the bonding, what is it called? I think it's just called the bonding trials. You have to like compete with everyone, and if you get to the end, you can potentially be bonded to a direwolf. And when you're bound to a direwolf, then you get to kind of go into this like training and yeah, become one of the bonded, which are these people who are bonded to direwolves. And they also like, you know, they fight and but they're considered they're held in quite high esteem, these bondeds. So Meryn is like, you know what, I'll go through the bonded trials because she has to. And if you like survive the trials and make it to the end someone told her like, oh, just, you know, don't kind of, just signal to the wolves, like say in your head that you don't want to be bonded, you're not here for bonding, like say that, so then they won't bond with you. Anyways, she does get bonded to a dire wolf against her own wishes. And yeah, so these dire wolves, they communicate to their bonded through their mind. And her dire wolf that she's bonded to, I forgot her name now because I read this a while ago. How could I forget this? I forgot the name of her wolf, but anyway, her wolf doesn't talk to her, and it's because she hasn't like accepted her bond really, because she's kind of like, I don't want to be bonded to a wolf. And then yeah, a lot of shit happens. And then there's Stark, who will be our MMC. I feel like we didn't see enough of Stark in this book, but that's because of another character. And yeah, there's a plot twist. The first plot twist in here was crazy. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, I think when I read that plot twist, that's when I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, I love books that give you these plot twists that you don't see coming. And then the end of the book is insane. Oh my god. And I cannot wait for the second one. The second one is coming out very soon, I think in a couple of months. So I'm so excited. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5. And I feel like the only reason that it wasn't 5 stars for me was because it's too similar to Fourth Wing, especially the aspect of like bonding. In Fourth Wing, they bond to dragons, and it's kind of like a similar way that they do. They have to go through the whole, I think it's threshing, or is that something else? The one at the beginning with the parapet, and they have to do that, and there's the bonding with the dragons as well. I feel like it was just so similar the way they had to do that. And the kind of like when you're bonded to the wolf, you talk in your head. Same thing in Fourth Wing, when you're bonded to your dragon, you communicate in your head. And in here, like, Merrin's wolf is the mate of Stark's wolf, which is like the same thing in Fourth Wing. And so I was so annoyed because I'm like, why did they copy this? Like, did they copy this? Because it's so similar. And also another thing I found, there's a character in Fourth Wing, I think Jacinia. She's deaf and she uses sign language. In here, in Direbound, there's like a character who has hard hearing, who's hard of hearing. She's one of the twins. I think it's Isabel or the other one. I forget. I forget names so quickly. I think it's Isabel. She's hard of hearing, so she uses sign language like with her twin sister and with other people, I guess. And I was like, another sign language? Like, I mean, of course, like we want more like diverse characters in books, but I was just like, I don't know, it was just like so similar to Fourth Wing, to the Empyrean series. And I love the Empyrean series, like that's probably one of my favorites. And so that's why I was like a bit, why, you know? That's why I didn't give this 5 stars, but for the rest of the story, the storylines, the plot twists, it was so good. Like it just kept me wanting, it made me want to read. Like I was just like, this is incredible. So yeah, I think if I hadn't read Fourth Wing, if I read this first and then Fourth Wing, I think I would have given this 5 stars, I think. So yeah, I highly recommend this. It was so good, so fun. I'm hoping the second book's better, mainly for the fact that it'll be different to Fourth Wing. I just hope it's not the same, because I do feel like a lot of people have said this. Basically, this is Fourth Wing with wolves, and I get that. It basically is, but I do think the story gets better as you go along. Ooh. I do think the story gets better as you go along, as you read it. You'll, you know, yeah. So yeah, this was excellent. This put me in a bit of a slump. So I feel like it took me a while to read anything else after this. The next book I read this month was Insatiable by Lee Rivers. This is the first book of the Edge of Darkness trilogy. And this, so good. I gave this 4.5 stars out of 5. This is a dark romance. It's best friend's twin brother. So good. You've got a morally grey MMC. What else? This is second chance romance, actually. So good. I really loved it. The main characters are Kate and Stacey, and it goes between both their point of views. It also goes between the past and the present, because when you read it, you will find out that Kate and Stacey, they dated for a while when they were 18. Then something happens. It's kind of like a misunderstanding, and they break up. Kate breaks up with Stacey, and Kate hates Stacey, but he's also still quite obsessed with her. And then he gets involved in like the Scottish underworld. This is set in Scotland, by the way. He gets involved with the Scottish underworld, gets involved with some bad people. He does contract killing. And I think because he's still obsessed with Stacey, every time she dates someone or sleeps with someone, he'll kill that person or harm that person. So yeah, this is dark romance for sure. So yeah, it's excellent. You will fall in love with Cade. This is the first book of the trilogy, and it follows the same characters throughout the trilogy. So this ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, and yeah, so I need to read the other books ASAP to find out what happens to Kate and Stacey. And yeah, I'm so keen. The smut was really good in here. I love the spice. I think it's because they kind of hate each other, but there's still that tension between them. It's really good. Yeah, so I would highly recommend this. I don't want to give too much away. I don't know like what to say to be like, you know, I don't want to say this happens. But yeah, Cade is also the son of a psychopath, serial killer, and he's still close with his dad, and just a lot of stuff happens. Just a lot happens in this book. It's not too big. And I did like the past and the present aspect, because you can just see what Kate and Stacey were like. Like they had such a sweet relationship, and then it's contrasted to what they have in the present. So yeah, and it's very traumatic. Read the trigger warnings before you start this. There's a lot of dark themes in here that extend beyond like sexual themes. Like it's about like abuse and coercion. Yeah, Stacey has a stepbrother who is also obsessed with her and makes her life hell, and she's trying to get out of that. Stacey's also she's a pole dancer and a pole dance teacher, which I think is so cool. Yeah, so I'm excited to see where this series goes. I know it's a lot of people's favorite like dark romance series, so really keen to continue on. So those are the books that I read, that I finished this month. Today's the 31st, so there's still a day left for me to finish something. I'll tell you what I'm reading now that I'm loving. Play Along. I've nearly finished it. This kind of got me out of my slump for sure after Diabound. Play Along by Liz Tomford, sports romance. It's part of the Windy City series. So I started the Windy City series like 2 years ago with, actually started with the second book, which is the Right Move. Yeah, with Ryan Shea, of course, everyone's favorite MMC. The Blueprint for All Guys. So I started with the Right Move 2 years ago, and I've been slowly making my way through the series. So it's taken me 2 years to get to this one, but I'm here. And I honestly think this might be my favorite one of the series yet. Yeah, I think this might be my favorite. I don't know, I just love the characters. I love Isaiah, I love Kennedy. I like that she's different from the other FMCs. I can see myself in her too, and I think that's what I like as well. So I'm nearly finished that one. So good. So I've got one more, and then I really want to read the, I think it's a spin-off, the In Her Own League, which is with Emmett, who is Miller's dad. Miller is the FMC from Caught Up, which is the book before this. Yeah, so keen for that, so keen. So yeah, can't wait to finish this. This month, one of my things for this year was I wanted to read a literary fiction, at least one every month, because I do love romance and it's my favorite, but I also do love lit fic, and I feel like I've been trying to push through a lot of romances and kind of, you know, not reading lit fic, and I used to love it so much, so trying to get back into that slowly. And I am reading The Vanishing Cherry Blossom Bookshop, which I got from the library. It reminds me of When the Coffee Gets Cold. I feel like it's quite an easy read, it's very small, and I'm enjoying it. It's just like a chill kind of read, a bit sad, a bit nostalgic, and I feel like I needed something like this to get through all the romance I've been reading. I'm going to try to finish it today because I've got time and I just want to read something nice and chill, nice and easy. But yeah, I'm reading that at the moment, and I'm also doing an audiobook as well, because while I work I like to have an audiobook on, and I'm doing the second book of the Bourbon Brothers books. I'm reading the second book of the Bourbon Boys series. This is the first one, which I have in hard copy. I read this for a book club. I didn't enjoy it that much. It was a 3 stars, it was fine. And I'm doing the audiobook for the second one, which is Bourbon and Secrets. And I am loving this. I'm loving it so much more than this one. Like the storyline and the characters. I think in this one, Grant, who is MMC, a bit boring to me. Like nothing, like I don't know. And it was too much of insta love. The one I'm reading now, Bourbon and Secrets, while there is that insta lust kind of aspect, I think it was a bit more of a burn, a slow burn, just because the characters knew each other in the past as well. So yeah, and I feel like there's like this really big backstory, and the main character Faye, she's like undercover, but like nobody knows, and I just love that kind of secretive aspect. I guess that's why it's called Bourbon and Secrets. But I am really loving it. So I feel like this one's gonna be my favorite of the series. And yeah, I think that's all I'm reading at the moment. Oh, I'm in the middle of Crown of Midnight, but I'm doing that pretty slowly because hasn't gripped me yet, hasn't gripped me. But I will let you know how I go with the Throne of Glass series. And yeah, so that's my reading wrap up for March. I hope you enjoyed this little setup that I did. I don't know how this kind of worked, if you enjoyed me as rambling a little bit. Yeah, but let me know if you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed me talking about the books that I liked. Let me know if you read any of these, or if you want to put any in your TBR. I would love to hear, so please like, comment and subscribe if you would like to. And yes, that's me. I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye bye.